All right, everyone, welcome back to another deep dive.
Hello, everyone.
I'm Ryan Lamas.
And I'm Rana Slato. And today we're diving into something pretty cool.
We are, and it has to do with movies, TV, and superheroes.
Yeah, all that good stuff. Specifically, a different type of Spider-Man.
That's right. You might know him from the Spider-Verse films,
Uh-huh.
but now he's getting his own live-action series on Amazon Prime Video.
That's right. Drumroll, please. Spider-Man Noir.
Oh, yeah, and get this, Nicolas Cage is going to be Spider-Man Noir.
He's going to be amazing.
I can't even imagine like a more perfect casting,
I
right?
know. It's like so perfect.
But before we get too far down that rabbit hole, let's rewind a little bit for folks who may not know who Spider-Man Noir is.
Okay, yeah. Let's back it up.
So picture this. It's the 1930s. The Great Depression is hitting everyone hard. The world is a lot grittier and more dangerous than the bright, colorful world of like the Spider-Man we usually see, with Tom Holland. This Spider-Man's a hero, but he's less of a high-flying, web-slinging guy and more of a detective who operates in the shadows.
Yeah, it's a little bit darker.
Yeah. He's got a black trench coat.
Yes.
A fedora. He's got like that almost like a 1930s, black and white movie detective vibe going on.
And instead of the bright red and blue suit,
Yeah.
he's got an all-black suit, which makes perfect sense for his vibe.
Oh, yeah, blending in, hiding in the shadows.
Exactly.
So this new Amazon series is going to bring that whole vibe to life.
It is, yeah.
Now, we know that Orenuziel is one of the creators working on this.
Okay.
And he's known for, he did The Lost City. Really fun adventure movie.
Yes, and Steve Lightfoot is also working on the show.
And he did The Punisher.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty dark. I feel like we're definitely going for a very serious tone.
Yeah.
Maybe even dark
Uh-huh.
with this new Spider-Man series.
I think so.
And then we've got Lamorne Morris,
Yes?
who you might recognize from New Girl,
Oop.
playing Robbie Robertson.
Yeah, I can't picture him in this role yet, but I'm sure he'll be great.
I think so too.
That'll be interesting.
And then, get this, Brendan Gleeson,
Oh, wow.
Mad-Eye Moody from Harry Potter,
Yes.
is going to be playing a mob boss who's described as a philosopher.
A philosopher mob boss. I
Yes.
can't even...
No,
Like, what does that mean?
I know.
So many questions.
But, okay, so speaking of cool things to get excited about, we actually got a sneak peek at what Nicolas Cage is going to look like as Spider-Man Noir.
Yes, we did.
Some set photos were leaked,
Oh,
and people went nuts.
people went crazy for those pictures.
Cage, in the full Spider-Man Noir costume, trench coat, fedora, a mask covering his face,
Yes.
combat boots, like, it's comic book accurate.
Yes, it's spot on. They nailed it.
So it seems like they really want to make this feel authentic to the original source material.
And speaking of source material, there's a twist. This Spider-Man Noir, he's not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He's going to be someone else.
Someone else behind the mask.
Yes.
Something it might be Ben Reilly,
Yeah, that's a good guess.
who in the comics is actually a clone of Peter Parker.
A clone. So interesting.
So it gets a little complicated, but there could be two Spider-Men running around.
Two Spider-Man.
So why would they change it up? Why not Peter Parker? Why choose to do this?
I don't know. There's a lot of speculation.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to set him apart from Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, give us something different. Explore new territory.
Yeah. I mean, they're clearly carving out their own little corner of the Spider-Man universe with this.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's another interesting thing about this.
Okay, tell me.
This is Nicolas Cage's first foray into television acting.
Oh, that's right.
Well, I mean, he did host that docuseries on Netflix about swear words.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But this is his first like real acting role on television.
That's pretty.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, it seems like a lot of big movie stars are kind of making their way into TV now.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, and there's just so much good TV out there these days.
There is. TV is kind of where it's at right now.
But hey, before we get too far down the Nicolas Cage rabbit hole,
Okay.
if you're enjoying this deep dive into Spider-Man Noir, we actually have a YouTube channel where we explore all sorts of cool topics just like this.
Yeah, come find us. Thank You First Podcast. It's on YouTube.
We cover everything from science and history to pop culture, just like we're doing now. So if you like what you hear, head over to YouTube, subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
Yeah, we'd love for you to join us.
Unlocking knowledge across the spectrum every day.
And don't forget to click the notification bell so you know when we have new videos coming out.
All right, now back to Nicolas Cage.
Yes, back to Nicolas Cage.
Okay, so he's got such an interesting filmography. I mean, he's been in like everything. Action movies, dramas,
He
comedies.
really has. He's like a cult icon.
Yeah.
He's done it all.
But he's also known for being like a little over the top with his acting sometimes.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of his signature, right?
Yeah.
Going all out.
Which has gotten him kind of mixed reviews over the years.
Yeah, some people love it, some people not so much.
Yeah. Like the Ghost Rider movies, for example. You know,
Yeah.
they did pretty well at the box office, but critics, not so much.
Not his best work, but still, it's Nicolas Cage.
It's Nicolas Cage.
We kind of have to watch it,
Yeah.
right? Just to see what he does.
Right, exactly. But now he's taking on this darker, grittier role as Spider-Man Noir.
He is. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes.
So the question is, will this be another one of those movies that's like a cult classic, or will this be something bigger?
Ooh, good question.
Will it be a critical darling? Will it be like something that everybody loves and remembers?
It could be both, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes those cult classics, they become like the most beloved movies over time. And this one, it just feels like it has the potential to be something really special.
Yeah.
I think people are really excited about this.
I am too. I mean, just the combination of this character and the talented people behind the scenes, and then you throw Nicolas Cage into the mix.
Yeah, it's a recipe for success, it feels like.
And the fact that they're going with a different Spider-Man, not Peter Parker.
Yes, that's a big deal.
It just feels like they're really trying to do something new and exciting with this and explore some new territory
Definitely.
in the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. We have Tom Holland's Spider-Man, we have the animated Spider-Verse movies, and now this, Spider-Man Noir.
It's like they're showing us all these different facets of Spider-Man,
The exact...
all these different ways to tell his story.
And they're all so different, but they all capture something essential about Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's really cool to see how they're expanding the Spider-Man universe in all these different directions.
And it's not just about the main character, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've got Lamorne Morris. He's hilarious, but he can also be serious.
That's true.
And then you've got Brendan Gleeson as this, philosophical mob boss.
It's such a weird combination, but I'm kind of here for it.
It's a really strong cast, which makes me think that this is going to be good.
I think so, too. They're not messing around with this one.
Yeah.
They're bringing their A game.
So I think we can both agree that we're excited about this.
Yes, definitely.
But let's zoom out a little bit and think about the bigger picture here.
Okay, yeah, what do you mean?
Well, this show, it's just one example of this trend we're seeing in superhero stories.
What kind of trend?
You're getting darker.
Yeah, a little less lighthearted.
A lot less lighthearted
Definitely.
and more serious, right?
Uh,
Like look at the Batman. That was pretty dark
super dark.
and gritty. And even Marvel, who's known for being more light and funny with their superhero movies, even they're getting into darker themes with some of their TV shows like WandaVision
Yeah, that got pretty intense.
or
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
So it seems like people, they want to see superheroes deal with some real problems, some tough choices.
Yeah, it's not just about punching bad guys anymore.
Right,
It's
exactly.
about exploring what it means to be a hero in a world that's not black and white.
It's about the emotional and psychological toll of being a hero.
Exactly.
And maybe that says something about our world today, right?
Maybe.
Like things are more complicated, more uncertain.
Yeah, the world feels a little messy right now.
Yeah, and maybe we're looking for stories that kind of reflect that, even in our superhero entertainment.
It's like we want our heroes to be flawed, to make mistakes, to struggle, just like we do.
Right, yeah. So maybe Spider-Man Noir is more than just this cool new show with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Maybe it's a sign of how superhero stories are evolving.
Yeah, how they're reflecting the world around us.
Yeah, and how they're reflecting our own, evolving world.
That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah. It makes me even more curious to see what they do with this series.
Me too. It has the potential to be something really special.
Okay, so before we go any further, just want to mention one more time, if you're enjoying this deep dive into Spider-Man Noir, we actually have a whole YouTube channel where we explore all sorts of cool topics just like this.
That's right. It's called Thinkiverse Podcast.
We cover everything from science and history to pop culture, just like we're doing now. So if you're curious about the world and want to learn new things, definitely head over to YouTube and subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
We'd love to have you join us.
We're all about unlocking knowledge across the spectrum every day.
Don't forget to hit that like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.
Okay, now back to Spider-Man Noir. We were talking about how this show is part of a trend of darker, grittier superhero stories.
Right. And I think it's worth asking ourselves, what does this trend tell us about our current cultural moment?
That's a great question. Why are we so drawn to these darker, more serious superhero stories these days?
I think it's because the world feels a little scarier and less certain than it used to.
Yeah, and maybe we're looking for heroes who reflect that. Heroes who are flawed and vulnerable, who have to overcome real challenges.
Exactly. It's not enough to just have a hero who can punch their way out of any problem. We want heroes who struggle, who make mistakes, who have to make tough choices.
Yeah, it's like we're craving stories that acknowledge the complexity of the world we live in.
Exactly. And I think Spider-Man Noir, with its gritty setting and its morally ambiguous characters, is perfectly poised to tap into that craving.
I agree. It's a story that's both entertaining and thought-provoking, a story that can make us think about the nature of good and evil, the challenges we face as a society, and the power of hope in the face of adversity.
And with Nicolas Cage bringing his unique intensity to the role, I have a feeling this show will stay with us long after the credits roll.
I think so too. It has all the ingredients of a truly unforgettable story.
And you know what's fascinating to me?
With that.
It's how Nicolas Cage's career has like almost prepped him for this specific role.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, think about it. He's known for these like really intense, sometimes over the top
Yeah,
performances.
he really commits, right?
He commits. And Spider-Man Noir, I mean, he carries a lot of weight, like
Yeah.
darkness, and he's seen some stuff.
Oh yeah, he's a troubled dude.
He is.
He's seen some things, lost people he cares about.
Exactly. And
Right.
that shaped him. And I think Cage has the ability to tap into that kind of like emotional depth.
Oh, totally. I mean, have you seen him in like Mandy?
Oh, Mandy.
I mean, there's a scene in that movie.
Intense.
You.
Intense.
Right. But then he can also be really subtle and nuanced, like adaptation.
Well, yeah. He played twins in that, totally different personalities, and he nailed both.
Yeah. So, I mean, that range, I feel like that's what's going to make his Spider-Man Noir so special.
Exactly.
Like, he can bring the intensity, but he can also bring the quiet pain.
Uh-huh. And let's not forget, he's already voiced Spider-Man Noir in the Spider-Verse movies.
That's right. He's got a foundation.
Yeah, he's got a base. He knows the voice. He knows the attitude.
And the fact that he chose to do this on TV when he could be doing big budget movies,
Yeah.
I think says something.
It does. Like, he sees something special in this.
Yeah. Maybe he's looking for a new challenge, a chance to really dig deep into a character.
Yeah, over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
And I think TV shows, they're really where it's at now in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, they're telling complex, layered stories.
It's not just about, like, the quick action and the special effects anymore. It's about character development,
Yeah.
exploring deeper themes.
And I think Spider-Man Noir, with his focus on the darker side of being a hero,
Yeah.
the struggles of this guy, trying to do good in this corrupt world
Mm-hmm.
is perfect for that kind of storytelling.
It is.
So, okay, we've got this amazing source material, this team of writers, directors,
Yeah.
and Nicolas Cage
Yeah.
bringing his A game.
Sounds like a recipe for something great.
But let's not forget about this decision to go with a different Spider-Man, right?
Yes.
Not Peter Parker.
It's bold, I think. Like, choosing someone else to be under that mask.
It shows that they're not just rehashing the same old stories.
Exactly. They're willing to take risks,
Yeah.
explore these new corners of the Spider-Man, universe.
And by using Ben Reilly,
Yeah.
they're tapping into this whole other layer of comic book lore.
So true. So for those who don't know, Ben Reilly, he's a clone of Peter Parker,
Yeah.
created by one of Spider-Man's enemies.
It gets a little complicated.
It does.
But basically, it means there could be two Spider-Men out there.
Two.
And in some of the comics, Ben Reilly actually takes over as Spider-Man for a while.
Whoa.
So using him in this show, I mean, it opens up all these possibilities.
It really does.
Maybe we'll see them explore what it means to be a clone, to have someone else's memories and powers,
Oh, that would be cool.
right? Or maybe they'll delve into the psychological toll of being Spider-Man,
Yeah.
the burden that he carries.
It's like they've given themselves a blank canvas
Yeah.
to create something new and different.
Yeah, and with that 1930s setting, they can really lean into that noir genre.
Oh, I love that.
Like smoky back alleys,
Yes.
femme fatales,
Corrupt cops.
corrupt cops. And instead of fighting these supervillains with crazy powers, Spider-Man Noir is going up against gangsters and mob bosses.
It's grounded. It's realistic.
It's a different kind of superhero story,
It is.
but still with that classic Spider-Man element of the good guy trying to do the right thing in this world that's just, often unfair.
Yeah. It's still a story about
Yeah.
justice, about responsibility, about the choices we make when we're faced with darkness.
And it's a story that feels really relevant today
Yeah, it does.
in a world where things can feel pretty dark and uncertain.
Totally.
So maybe that's why we're drawn to these grittier, more serious superhero stories. We want heroes who reflect the complexity of our world,
Mm-hmm.
who show us how to fight for what's right, even when it feels impossible.
And I think Spider-Man Noir, with his flaws, with his humanity
Yeah.
and his determination, he's the perfect hero for our times.
He's a reminder that even in the darkest alleys,
Yeah.
there's still a flicker of hope.
There is.
And even when we stumble and fall, we can always get back up and keep fighting.
Yes. Keep fighting for what we believe in.
I love that. It's like Spider-Man Noir is a symbol of resilience,
He is.
of never giving up,
Never give up.
even when things get tough.
That's the message we need to hear right now.
I agree.
Don't give up. Keep going.
And who better to deliver that message
I know, right?
than Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage, the man himself.
I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with this performance.
I think so too. He's
Yeah.
going to knock it out of the park.
And with this creative team behind the show,
Yeah.
I have no doubt that they're going to do justice to this character
Yeah. It's going to be visually stunning, I bet.
and to the story.
No. All the shadows, all the secrets.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see how audiences respond to this,
Me too. I have a feeling they're going to love it.
to this darker, grittier
Yeah.
take on Spider-Man.
It's a story that's timeless and timely.
Yeah.
It speaks to the challenges we face, but it also reminds us of the power of hope and heroism.
It's a story we all need right now.
It is.
It's funny how we started this conversation talking about Nicolas Cage's career,
I know, right?
and now we're talking about the deeper meaning of Spider-Man Noir and like the state of the world.
It's all connected.
It really is.
That's the thing about these stories.
Yeah.
They can connect with us on so many levels.
They can entertain us.
Uh-huh.
Challenge us,
Yeah.
even inspire us.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the power of great storytelling.
It can make us think differently, feel more deeply.
See the world in a new way.
Exactly. And that's why we're so passionate about exploring these stories on our YouTube channel, The Giver's Podcast.
Yes. Come find us on YouTube. We'd love to have you.
If you're enjoying this deep dive into Spider-Man Noir, you'll definitely love our YouTube channel.
We cover all sorts of topics.
Yeah, everything from the history of space exploration to the psychology of creativity.
We break things down, make learning fun and accessible for everyone.
So if you're curious about the world and want to expand your knowledge, be sure to subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
We'd love to have you join our community of lifelong learners.
Okay, now back to Spider-Man Noir. We were talking about how this show reflects a trend of darker, grittier superhero stories.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? Like, why are we so drawn to that?
Yeah, why are we drawn to these darker, more serious superhero stories?
Is it just a matter of taste, or is there something deeper going on?
It's a great question. I think maybe there are a few answers.
Yeah, what do you think?
One is that, our world has become really complex and uncertain in recent years.
Uh-huh.
And we're looking for stories that reflect that complexity.
Like, we want heroes who get it. You know?
We want heroes who are more relatable,
Yeah.
more human,
Uh-huh.
who struggle with the same doubts and fears that we do.
Instead of those perfect, invincible heroes.
Yeah, we want heroes who are flawed,
Yeah.
who make mistakes,
Who have to work at it.
who have to work hard to overcome challenges.
Totally.
And maybe that's why we're seeing more and more superhero stories explore these darker themes like trauma,
Yeah.
loss, and the moral ambiguities of power.
It's getting real, you know?
It's getting real.
It's not just about good versus evil anymore.
Right, yeah. They're not afraid to show the cost of heroism.
The sacrifices.
Yeah.
The tough choices.
And in a way, I think that makes these stories even more inspiring.
More inspired. How?
Because it shows that even in the face of darkness and adversity,
Yeah.
it's still possible to do good,
It's still possible to make a difference.
to make a difference, yeah. It's like these heroes are saying to us, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Keep fighting,
Keep fighting.
even when things get tough.
I love that. That's such a powerful message.
Yeah. And I think we all need to hear that message right now.
We do.
We need heroes who remind us that hope is never lost,
Never lost.
even in the darkest of times.
Even in the darkest of times.
And that even when we stumble and fall,
Yeah.
we can always get back up and keep moving forward.
We can always get back up.
I love that. It's like these darker superhero stories.
Yeah.
They're actually a celebration of the human spirit.
They are. They show us the strength and resilience that we all have inside.
And they remind us that even when we're facing like these seemingly insurmountable challenges,
Yeah.
we can always choose to fight for what we believe in.
You got it. That's a powerful message.
It is. And I think that's one of the reasons why these stories are resonating so strongly with audiences.
I think so too. It's like we're living in a time where it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the negativity in the world.
Yeah.
And these stories, they offer a little glimmer of hope,
A little glimmer of hope.
a reminder that even in the dark times, there's still good out there. And there are people fighting for it.
And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
these stories can inspire us to do the same.
To do the same, to stand up for what we believe in,
Yeah.
to fight for justice, to make the world a better place.
That's a beautiful sentiment.
And it's a sentiment that's like at the heart of Spider-Man Noir.
He's a hero who embodies that struggle against darkness,
Yeah.
the fight for what's right, even when it seems impossible.
And that's why we're so excited about this show.
We are. We're eager to see how they bring this complex character to life.
Yeah, and how they explore the darker side of heroism.
And we're hoping that it'll spark conversations about good and evil, about the challenges we face, and the power of hope. And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire some of us to become heroes in our own right.
Maybe.
Maybe it'll encourage us to stand up for what we believe in, fight for justice, make the world a little bit brighter.
Love that.
Wouldn't that be amazing
Yeah.
to see a superhero show not just entertain us, but inspire us to make a positive impact?
Ooh, he'd be amazing.
I think it's definitely
I
possible.
would so too.
And I think Spider-Man Noir, with his grit and his determination and his sense of justice,
Yeah,
he's the perfect hero to lead the way.
I agree. He's a hero for our times.
And I'm so excited to see what this show has in store for us.
Me too. I have a feeling it's going to be something special.
Okay, before we get too carried away with our excitement for Spider-Man Noir,
Yeah.
I want to remind everyone about our YouTube channel, Thinkiverse Podcast.
Yes. If you're liking this deep dive, you'll love our channel.
We cover all sorts of fascinating topics.
From the history of science to the psychology of happiness.
We break down complex ideas into bite-sized pieces.
Make it fun. Make it accessible.
So if you're curious about the world and you want to expand your knowledge, subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
We would love to have you join our community of lifelong learners.
Now back to Spider-Man Noir. One of the things that makes this show so interesting is its setting in the 1930s,
The 1930s.
during the Great Depression.
It was a tough time.
It was a tough time. It's a period of history that's both fascinating and tragic.
Yeah, a lot of hardship.
A lot of hardship, social unrest, political upheaval.
It was a time of big changes.
It was a time of big changes, and it's often associated with this noir genre, right?
Oh, yeah.
With its dark, gritty stories of crime and corruption.
It's a very specific vibe.
It is, and I
Ah.
think that setting is going to be a major part of what makes this show so unique.
It's going to be visually stunning, I bet.
Yeah, it's going to give Spider-Man Noir a whole different kind of world to operate in.
Instead of fighting supervillains, he's going up against gangsters,
Yeah,
mob bosses, corrupt politicians.
it's a more grounded, more realistic kind of superhero story.
But it's also going to be a story that explores some very relevant themes.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, like the abuse of power, the fight for justice, and the importance of hope in the face of adversity.
Those are big themes.
They are, and I think that's one of the things that's so appealing about these darker, grittier superhero stories.
Yeah, they give us a way to process the complexities of our world.
They make us think about morality and justice.
And they remind us that even in the darkest of times, there are still people out there fighting for what's right,
Fighting the good fight.
fighting the good fight. And that even when we feel lost and alone, we can find strength and inspiration in the stories of those who have come before us.
That's beautiful.
It is. And I think it's a message that's especially important for young people today.
I agree. They're growing up in a world that's facing some serious challenges.
Yeah, like climate change, political polarization, social injustice.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed and hopeless.
But stories like Spider-Man Noir can remind them that they're not alone.
That there are still people fighting for what's right, and that they can join them.
They can make a difference.
It can make a difference.
Even if it's just in their own small way.
I love that idea.
Me too. And I think it's one of the reasons why these darker superhero stories are resonating so strongly with audiences today.
Yeah, they offer a glimmer of hope in a world that often feels dark and uncertain.
And they remind us that even when things are tough, we can still choose to fight for what we believe in.
And that's a message that's worth spreading.
Absolutely. And that's why we're so passionate about sharing these stories with you on our YouTube channel.
Thinkiverse Podcast.
That's right. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Spider-Man Noir and the world of superhero stories, you'll definitely love our YouTube channel.
We cover all sorts of fascinating topics, from the history of science to the psychology of happiness.
We break down complex ideas, make learning fun and accessible.
So if you're curious about the world and want to expand your knowledge, subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
We'd love to have you join our community of lifelong learners.
Okay, back to Spider-Man Noir. We were talking about the setting of the show in the 1930s, during the Great Depression.
It's more than just a setting, though, isn't it?
Yeah, what do you mean?
It's like a character in itself.
That's a good point. It really shapes the tone and the atmosphere.
And the themes.
Yeah, and the themes of the show.
The Great Depression, it was a time of hardship and despair.
People were struggling.
They were struggling to make ends meet, to put food on the table.
Yeah, there was this feeling of hopelessness in the air.
Yeah, like, what's the point?
And I think that's going to be reflected in the character of Spider-Man Noir.
Oh, definitely. He's not your typical happy-go-lucky superhero.
No, he's darker.
He's seen some things.
Yeah, grittier, more world-weary.
He's carrying a lot of baggage.
Yeah, he's seen the worst of humanity, and it's taken its toll.
But he's still fighting.
He's still fighting.
He's still trying to make a difference.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him so relatable, you know?
We've all been through tough times. We've all felt lost and hopeless at times.
But Spider-Man Noir shows us that even when we're at our lowest, we can still choose to fight for what's right.
We can still choose to be heroes.
We can still choose to be heroes, yeah. And I think that's a message that's really important for young people today.
It is. They're growing up in a world that's facing some serious challenges.
Yeah, like climate change, political polarization, social injustice.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man Noir, he shows us that we can overcome these challenges.
We can make a difference.
We can make a difference.
Even if it's just in our own small way.
Exactly. I love that idea.
Me too. And I think it's one of the reasons why these darker superhero stories are resonating so strongly with audiences.
They offer a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
In a world that can feel very dark and uncertain.
And they remind us that even when things are tough, we can still choose to fight for what we believe in.
That's right. Choose to fight.
And that's a message worth spreading.
It is. And that's why we're so passionate about sharing these stories with you on our YouTube channel, Thinkiverse Podcast.
Thinkiverse Podcast.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying this deep dive into Spider-Man Noir and the world of superhero stories, you'll definitely love our YouTube channel.
We cover all sorts of fascinating topics, from the history of science to the psychology of happiness.
We break down complex ideas, make learning fun.
And accessible.
Accessible for everyone. So, if you're curious about the world and want to expand your knowledge, subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
We'd love to have you join our community of lifelong learners.
Okay, back to Spider-Man Noir. One of the things I'm most curious about is how they're going to handle the character's powers.
Oh, that's a good question.
In the comics, Spider-Man Noir's powers are a bit different from, the traditional Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's not as strong.
He doesn't have that same super strength, the agility.
He's more stealthy, relies on his wits.
He's more of a detective, right?
A detective. Blends into the shadows.
He's got that heightened sense of awareness.
That spider sense.
Yeah, the spider sense,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not as powerful or as reliable as the traditional Spider-Man.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt that for the screen.
I know, right? Like, are they going to give him the traditional powers?
Yeah, are they going to beef him up a little bit?
Or are they going to stay true to the comics?
Yeah, make him more grounded.
I kind of hope they keep it grounded.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if they keep his powers more grounded.
It would make him feel more like a detective.
Yeah.
More like a noir hero.
Yeah, it would set him apart from the other Spider-Men we've seen.
Exactly.
I think it would be a refreshing change of pace.
Totally agree. And it would allow them to focus more on his psychology.
Oh, yeah.
His moral dilemmas.
Which is one of the most interesting things about Spider-Man Noir.
Totally. He's constantly wrestling with his own darkness.
Yeah. He's seen the worst of humanity.
He's been tempted to cross the line.
But he always manages to pull himself back.
He does. He's a good guy at heart.
He's a good guy, But he's constantly struggling,
Struggling to do the right thing.
even when it's hard.
It's not easy being a hero.
It's not. And that's what makes him so compelling, right?
It is.
He's flawed, but still striving to be good.
That's the kind of hero we need.
That is the kind of hero we need. And I think that's a really important message, especially today.
What do you mean?
Well, we're all flawed.
We are.
We all make mistakes.
We do.
But that doesn't mean we can't be heroes.
Doesn't mean we can't try.
Yeah, it just means we have to keep trying.
Keep fighting.
Keep fighting for what we believe in.
Exactly. And Spider-Man Noir, he shows us that it's possible.
Even in the darkest of times, there's always hope.
Always hope. And the potential for redemption.
I love that.
Me too.
Hmm.
It's one of the reasons why these darker stories really resonate with us.
They offer a glimmer of hope in this world that often feels so dark and uncertain.
And they remind us that even when things are tough, we can still choose to fight.
To fight for what we believe in. That's a message worth spreading.
It is. And that's why we love talking about these stories. And that's why we love having you join us on our YouTube channel, Thinkiverse Podcast.
Thinkiverse Podcast. That's right. If you're enjoying this deep dive, you'll love our YouTube channel.
We've got tons of deep dives.
Yeah, we cover all sorts of fascinating topics.
Yeah.
From the history of science to the psychology of happiness.
We break down complex ideas
Make learning fun.
and accessible for everyone.
So if you're curious about the world and want to expand your knowledge, be sure to subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
We'd love to have you.
Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about the supporting cast of Spider-Man Noir.
A supporting cast. Okay, yeah.
We've already mentioned Lamorne Morris playing Robbie Robertson
Mm-hmm.
and Brendan Gleeson as the philosopher mob boss.
Such a weird combination.
I know.
Can't wait to see it.
But there are a few other actors we haven't mentioned yet.
Oh, okay. Who else is in it?
Well, Emily Mortimer is playing a character named Felicia Hardy.
Felicia Hardy. Wait, that name rings a bell.
It sure.
I feel like I've heard that before.
In the comics, Felicia Hardy is the alter ego of Black Cat,
Black Cat. Okay, yeah.
a sometimes villain, sometimes ally of Spider-Man.
Oh, that's interesting.
So she's going to be in the show, but it's not clear yet if she'll be a friend or foe to Spider-Man Noir.
So much intrigue.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got Walton Goggins
Oh, Walton
playing a
Goggins.
character named the Vulture.
The Vulture. Isn't he one of Spider-Man's classic enemies?
He is.
Okay.
But I'm curious to see how they adapt him for this show.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, will he be a more grounded, realistic version of the character?
Yeah.
Or are they going to go all out with the special effects and give him actual wings?
I hope he has wings. That would be so cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I mean, Walton Goggins, he's great.
He's a fantastic actor.
He'll bring something special to it, I'm sure.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So with such a strong cast
Yeah.
and this fascinating premise,
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say we're both pretty excited about Spider-Man Noir.
I'm so excited for this show.
Me too. I mean, it has the potential to be one of the best superhero shows ever made.
I think so too. Dark, gritty, thought-provoking.
It's going to explore some important themes.
It is. Justice, responsibility, the struggle against evil.
Yeah, and it's got this amazing cast.
And the 1930s setting.
The setting, yeah.
It's going to be visually stunning, I bet.
What more could you ask for?
Not much. I think we've covered everything we know so far.
Yeah, we've talked about the setting, the characters, the themes, the cast.
We even touched on some of the deeper questions it might raise.
Yeah, like what it means to be a hero.
In a world that's not always so easy to figure out,
And how we can find hope.
even when things are tough.
So I think we're ready to wrap up this deep dive.
But before we do,
Yes.
don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Thinkiverse Podcast.
If you're enjoying this kind of in-depth discussion, you'll love our channel.
We cover all sorts of topics.
Yeah, from the history of science to the psychology of happiness.
We break down complex ideas, make learning fun and accessible.
So if you're curious about the world and want to expand your knowledge, subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast.
We would love to have you join our community of lifelong learners.
Okay, that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic.
Until then, keep those minds curious.
And those webs slinging.
You know, something else I really appreciate about this show?
Yeah.
It's not just a superhero story. It's like a historical drama
Yeah.
set in the 1930s.
That's right. They've actually, they've said that they're going to weave real historical events and figures into the story.
Yeah, they're not shying away from the history.
Give me an example, like what kind of stuff?
Well, there are rumors about a storyline involving, like, the rise of organized crime in New York City,
Oh, interesting.
which was huge during Prohibition, you know?
Totally. So it's not just Spider-Man Noir, like punching bad guys, right?
Exactly. There's a deeper layer.
It's about the world he lives in.
Yeah. They're going to explore that social and political landscape of the 1930s
Yeah.
and how those forces like shape the characters and the story.
It's like the city itself is a character.
Yeah, I love that. It had so much depth.
It's not just a superhero story, it's a historical drama, a crime thriller, a character study, all in one.
Right. It's got a little something for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's going to appeal to a wide audience.
Definitely. Superhero fans will love it. History buffs will love it.
People who love crime thrillers.
Yeah, there's something for everyone.
It's a show that has something for everyone.
Exactly.
And that's what I love about it.
Me too. It's entertaining, but it's also thought-provoking.
It is. It makes you think.
It makes you think about the world and about the choices we make and how
Yeah.
those choices affect others.
Yeah. That's such an important message.
It is, especially today.
Yeah, when it's so easy to feel disconnected from the consequences of our actions.
Right. Spider-Man Noir, he reminds us that every choice matters.
Yeah, even small acts of kindness or courage.
Could make a big difference.
I love that. It's a message that's both inspiring and empowering.
It is.
Okay, I think we've covered just about everything there is to cover about Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah, I think we hit all the major points.
We talked about the setting, the characters, the themes, the cast, the deeper questions this show might raise.
And I think it's safe to say we're both pretty excited about it.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't wait to see it all come together.
Me too. I have a feeling it's going to be something truly special.
And maybe one of the most important superhero stories ever told.
It's a story for our times, you know?
It is. It speaks to the challenges we face,
Yeah.
but it also reminds us about hope.
Hope and heroism.
Yeah, the enduring power of those things.
It's a story we all need to hear.
So mark your calendars.
Yeah, the premiere of Spider-Man Noir on Amazon Prime Video.
And join us next time for another deep dive.
Until then, keep those minds curious.
And those webs slinging